Hello, everyone. My name is Emily Golia. I am a Los Angeles-based actor, singer, and creator, and I am here with freelance model Laurel Moore. Hi, Laurel. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thanks. How are you?
Doing well. Laurel was just telling me that the power went out. She's up in Washington, and there are a lot of power outages because of all the trees.
Yeah,
A very different life than we live here in the desert of California, of Southern
I'm
California.
from desert. I'm from that desert, in fact. I'm from Lancaster, so I understand.
Oh, fantastic. When did you move up to Washington?
Oh, well, after I lived in the Midwest for 10 years, so about 6.5 years ago.
Wow. So tell me, Laurel, how did you get involved in modeling? Like, when did you find your passion for it?
So it's kind of funny. I've sewn for about 30 years. That's my business that I have right now is as a seamstress. And so
Oh,
when I was growing up, I danced and I acted and I didn't model. In fact, I told people in high school I did not want to model. But when I was in college, actually, I think I just graduated from college about 10 years ago. So I said 8 years, I think earlier, if like on my social media stuff, I'll say 8 years.
mhm.
But about 10 years ago, it was one of my friends contacted me and she was in HMUA, a local one. I was in Wichita, Kansas, which is where I was finishing school. And a local photographer there who is now very well known, David Wallace Jr. He was looking for more models last minute because he had a shoot scheduled, just like profile building and whatnot for a local hotel, and he had rented a room and wanted boudoir models. And so my friend was begging me to come because she knew I lived nearby, and I did costuming and had a big wardrobe,
Wow.
and and she was getting paid per model. So she was like, I need the money, come on. And so I said, okay, fine. He was like, oh, he'll love your hair, which
It is
he's very
gorgeous.
curly. Thank you. And I got there, and to this day, about 10 years later, it is still one of the best shoots I did. I still have photos from that shoot. He's such a
Wow.
talented photographer, and it's just funny because I look back and I wasn't gonna do it. And he's like, you could do this professionally. You just set up a profile and go on Model Mayhem. At the time, a lot of people were using that instead of Instagram, and just do it professionally. If you're interested in doing it, you can do all the styling and hair and wardrobe and makeup for your own shoots. And I said, oh, maybe. And then about 2 years after that, I actually had a car wreck. I got hit by a car on my bicycle, and I had to take some time off of work, as you can imagine. And I was like, huh, maybe I should look into that modeling stuff and make some extra cash. And I soon found out that because I was in Kansas and that's kind of the Bible Belt and people are a little bit more conservative, a lot of people wouldn't do swimsuit or boudoir or artistic modeling. And so I started traveling and doing it all over the Midwest.
Wow.
Um, yeah, and by the time I got out to Seattle, I was fairly well established because by that point I've been doing like 2 years of freelance work, and I didn't apply for agencies, and I started working here, and then I took about 4 years off to help a now ex-partner of mine build his business up, and now I'm back to it starting April this year, and I've done I don't even know how many shoots since then. But what got me into it wasn't necessarily that I had unique hair or anything like that. It was that I learned something different about myself every single shoot I did. And I
Okay.
think that that's a really interesting thing. I had lived a life where I didn't want to be a model. I didn't even at the time have a full length mirror in my apartment. And I never really focused on that because I was always working backstage doing costuming and wardrobe and that type of stuff, not wanting to be in the limelight at
Yeah.
all. And then I was like, I learned something about myself. I'm really good at it. And I realized that there was a good market for people who could style and do all of the stuff themselves. It was easier for photographers to bring in people like campaign shoots for their own business or for people they knew if I didn't have to worry about getting a hair and makeup artist and a wardrobe person. So I just did it all for myself. And longer term, I'd like to go into just styling shoots instead of being in them.
Right. That is really fantastic. And I love that you found this niche. You were like, I'm in the Midwest, it's the Bible Belt. So I'm going to fill this void that is missing for people and you did it, and you've made a career out of it. I really think that's just incredible. Did you
Yeah.
Oh, no, keep
Oh,
going.
cut each other off. Yeah, so I was gonna say, yeah, so it's interesting because now that I'm a little older, I'm starting to apply for agencies and wanting to do more editorial type work and whatnot instead of, artistic modeling per se, but I am published in a magazine, on an online magazine, and I'm published in an artistic book. So what was gonna be your question?
Oh, I forget. I think I was just if you I guess you kind of were going into it that you're published, and that's so exciting. Can you tell me more about like what that was like?
So that was actually a shoot this year. It's a well-established photographer down in photo studio photographer down in Portland, and he does collections of artistic nudes with like themes. And so I'm in one of his books because he's doing an element series. I might be in more than one of his book actually, but I'm in his most recent book for that. And that's interesting because I haven't seen the book. Like
Oh,
I
wow.
didn't yeah, I haven't seen it yet, so I didn't order a copy yet because it was just released like a month and a half ago. So that was Sensual Light Studio down in Portland, and it's his most recent book, but he's self-published like 8 books, I think, at this point, and he's just a really talented photographer. Now the other time that I've been published, at least in something official, was for a gun magazine. Which I'm not like super pro firearms or anything like that, but I'm not necessarily against it, responsible use. So we won't get into the politics of it. But they actually started the magazine because their daughter, who was against guns, so they retired. They had a gun shop on San Juan Island. They're retired from that now too, but they retired from their normal jobs and got the gun shop, and their son was helping them run it, and their daughter was definitely all completely against firearms until she got stalked
Wow.
and attacked by an ex of hers. And then she's like, okay, well, responsible use. And so she became a firearm instructor and to promote females and protection with firearms and whatnot. She started the magazine as a way to promote her parents' business and to promote her own personal goals against domestic violence and abuse, and to train women for responsible gun usage.
That's so
And so, considering the message involved, I was their centerfold model when I was 30. That was the year I moved to Washington. So funny. It was like, and it was the first bigger editorial shoot I got, and then I turned down a few because I was working for the state. But it was funny because I was just like, well, I mean, it's a good message.
wow, that is fascinating.
Yeah, it
And
was,
you said oh, no, you keep going.
I was trying to remember the name of the magazine because they're not doing it anymore, but it's not coming to me.
Oh, yeah, no worries. I'm sure we'll be able to find it online easily. And you said that things really picked up back in April. Did you kind of take a break from everything when things shut down?
Yeah, I was in a relationship and helping that partner run a business for like 4 years, and so I quit modeling, and, when everything kinda started opening back up in April this year and I was single again, I was like, "Well, I could do that," and alongside my small business because I'm a seamstress and it's a good way to network into fashion if I want photographers and models and things like that. So it's not just looking at the now, but looking at the future. If I want style shoots, if I want to provide clothing and wardrobe for shoots, and if I want to have people to work with me on my own projects, networking is what this business is, geared towards, honestly.
Oh,
Anywhere. Like I have a ton of photographers down in LA that want to work with me. In fact, I was supposed to be in LA this month working with them, but some things came up. So it's kind of fun because now I'm going to start traveling and working again. And I
exciting.
have people contacting me for editorial spreads and whatnot. I'm sitting here thinking, I'm 36. Wow, this industry's changed a lot
I
since I
think it's
started 10
fantastic.
years ago. 10 years ago, there wouldn't be people contacting me for editorial spreads at my age.
Yeah, no,
But
I
now,
think it's so important and wonderful that you're such an advocate for that because age is a concept. No, it's not
absolutely. Yeah.
so
And like, I remember being turned down from stuff when I was younger, being told I was too old, specifically only in LA, only for shoots in LA. And now it's interesting because they see what New York and other places in Europe is doing, and they're like, "Oh, well, we have to step up." In fact, I think it's I am art there's an agency in LA that I'm technically under, but I haven't taken anything with them because I haven't been traveling down that way. And then they're an alternative modeling agency, and then another alternative one in the US I know is Latitude in New York, which I'd have to move to New York to work for them. But there's not an alternative modeling agency in the Pacific Northwest, so that's also something I'm looking at starting up. There are
Yes.
people
Oh
that are
gosh, you
more
are
open,
so
but
multi-talented.
not a full alternative agency. And so I'm looking at, how can I move forward, not as a model, helping other people and helping, realistically as a business owner, I don't want people that look like models purchasing my services. I want normal people purchasing my services. So an alternative agency is ideal.
That is fantastic. Gosh, you are so multi-talented and multifaceted. You're like a one-stop shop. The agent
I
and the
want to
seamstress and
be. I
the
would do.
well,
Yeah, and that's the thing, like, interviewing and getting my mission out there just helps me inspire other people to do the same, because this New York Fashion Week, this last one was the first one where they had all shapes, sizes, and ages of models, and that's super important to continue that inspiration and to keep moving forward. Um, Coincidentally, like, Portland Fashion Week does the same thing, but they're actually the oldest fashion week in the US, but they don't get recognition for it. They're also the only solar fashion week. They're completely solar powered. No one talks about
of
that.
course they are. That's
I
so Portland.
love it, right?
I
Because I
love
was like, we're sustainable and like show my clothing. And then I was like, wow, Portland's like definitely the number one place in the US for that, apparently.
oh my gosh, that is fantastic. I love that.
Yeah.
Ah, well, you are just absolutely inspiring and
Well,
incredible.
thank you.
Just it has been such a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you so much for being part of this app. I'm so excited that you're going to be here and be able to connect with your fans and other artists, and we'll all be part of this
Yeah.
amazing network.
I'm also really excited to see more crypto apps coming into the fashion industry and to come into the entertainment industry, because I do think, with the rise of NFTs and whatnot, we're seeing that people are truly interested in supporting artists directly, which is lovely because Model Mayhem gave people the ability to direct hire and direct contact each other, and now Instagram does that for people. And now we're having things like these crypto apps with currencies, with tokens that we can directly pay people and contact people and get a hold of each other. And I love it. I love the fact that it's all becoming person to person again, which I feel like big corporations have separated us from each other, right?
Yes, absolutely. Oh, wow. I've learned so much from you just in this short time. You are just absolutely wonderful. I'm so excited
Thanks.
to see what happens next. Thanks for being here, and we'll talk soon.
Yep. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.